one line at the end of the film we took out, right? Did we end up taking that line out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had a line that could be construed as it was meant as a joke, and it could be construed as a racist joke.
Well, it wasn't meant as, I mean, again, like, I think there's, yeah.
To provoke. It was meant for.
It was meant to provoke.
To provoke a response, thank you for, from the FBI agent. It was, and we ended up taking it out because we didn't want the film to get lost in this kind of discussion. So I think it's an evolution. It's something you always think about, but you're constantly catching things. And I'm sure that when the film comes out, there'll be things that we didn't even think about, so.
I have a question for this gathering here. So I've been involved with the radio show, and I got involved with this event with a wealthy doctor, from Africa. And we decided, there's really no vegan magazine either, there's no a vegan age or whatever. And there needs to be some sort of vegan, so we've had a few preliminary meetings on trying to create a vegan magazine, and some people say, well, there's veg news, but it's not vegan news, and it doesn't have the kind of reporting and journalism that we would like to see. So we had a preliminary meeting, and the argument is, do you show the graphic pictures in a magazine? It's like, well, then people aren't going to read the magazine. But I want to show the truth, so I want to show them, but, what would you think, if there were a magazine that were to come out, the Vegan Age, with, cupcake recipes and all the other great stuff, but also hard-hitting stories about animal suffering? Because if I want people to be against vivisection, well, don't they really have to see the horror? But then no, they won't read the magazine, or, so I'm not sure what I think, So.
Depending on your target audience, entirely. If you're specific
Non-vegans.
What's that?
Non-vegans.
Non-vegans. Then you're going to need that imagery. If you were targeting people who are already vegan, some vegans already have difficulty seeing those images over and over again. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
I think you need a balance. I don't think you should solely go one way with it.
But they should be included, you think? They shouldn't be avoided?
Yeah, I do think they should be included, but not overpowered.
Yeah, but if you had a magazine that was focusing on, say, human rights issue of, say, sweatshop workers or something, you would probably have the conditions in which those workers are suffering. So you would have the conditions that the animals are suffering in your magazine.
So often vegans are suggesting that what's the right thing to do to reach people out there, it's like, oh, we can collect signatures for Prop 2, but we can't say go vegan, because it would confuse, what I mean? We're always worrying about stepping on someone's toe,
I think the problem with the vegan magazine, like the one you're proposing, is that, the target audience is already, I think the problem I see a lot is that we're preaching to the converted. You know what I mean? Like, your target audience doesn't necessarily need to see those images. I think a better use of time and resources is to figure out a way to get that hard-hitting story with those graphic images into mainstream magazines, finding an advocate there who will publish these kind of stories, rather than having like just this one magazine. I mean, there's an audience for that, and I guess it could, a magazine like this could serve to rally that audience in some way, or
Wouldn't
provoke
it be
them
cool
into
in
more
Whole Foods to
action.
see, a Vegan Age next to Mother Jones and Rolling Stone and all, I mean, it's like an ad.
It kind of plays on what the woman was saying a little bit ago about dumbing things down, which is a term used in television production and news writing. All I have friends that work in television and news both. And dumbing down is a term they regularly use when scripts are edited, because things have to have a mass appeal to the target audience, which is what we're talking about now. And so, harsh images are going to steer a lot of people that we want to reach away from looking or investing into a magazine like this. At the same time, you're right that people need to be able to see the truth. So you have to find a balance that has an appeal to the general population. Because as we're all artists, and we want our work to be seen by as many people as we can. Not only because we take pride in our work, but for people that work with more of an agenda like what we have. There's a goal, there's an agenda, there's something greater than ourselves and the value of the work itself, and that is obviously for this topic of discussion and deliberation. And things have to be dumbed down in a way that will give them an appeal to the masses out there that we're trying to reach, you know?
I think Bob, and everyone there are some ways you can style it to where it could work, depending upon your focuses. I was actually just talking to her about in the code, they were very specific not to show dolphins being directly slaughtered, where they would have, blood and obviously dolphins dead and suffering and so forth. And that actually kept them from getting, I think, like an R rating or something like that. And the other thing I was thinking that caught my head was that Marjorie Spiegel, she actually took a lot of images from slaughterhouses, and she's very specific about using black and white images because it changes the tone of those images, where you can still have these graphic images, but it subtilizes it a little bit. So I'm sure there are certain ways you can work with certain things too to get that compromise maybe.
I always thought that without the images, people can't really make the connection between what they're eating and what is happening. Because even myself, I know that meat is murder and everything. I look at a hamburger, but I can't really equate that burger was once a living creature. And I think without the images, that's going to be the same for other people. That they need the images to make the connection.
Well, I agree with that. It's just everybody was arguing with me, so I just.
I think part of selling these types of ideas to general population, people that don't have any type of connectedness to, the animal liberation movement or anything that's compassionate in that direction at all, is finding the angle that they can relate to. You might have to have less on the shock value and more on the benefits of eating vegan, or buying organic products or products that are cruelty-free or, whatever it is. And that is you want to paint this picture because that's what the general population out there, when we leave here today, the rest of the world is only concerned about themselves, okay, and what benefits them. And so you need to paint a picture of how wonderful it is to support certain ideas or to boycott other ideas. And so you have to kind of twist that in there. What do you have to offer? So you're telling people, okay, don't eat meat or don't buy these types of products, but you have to offer something in place of it.
I think one of the difficulties you might run into, I agree with putting it in a mainstream magazine because you're not having to try to gain the readership that you would have beforehand. It just happens to be one of the articles being displayed in a magazine they already read, so there's no shifting of habits, so to speak. So I agree with getting an article that promotes veganism in a mainstream outlet would be a good idea. I think the same problem we run into as, let's say, people who are anti-war or anti-nuclear, that if they were to do that by displaying pictures of the victims of Chernobyl or the casualties of the Iraqi war or something, is that the horror and shock of those images would drown out any message of what you're doing to replace it. That would be the focus of criticism and ignore everything else in the message entirely. That displaying those images would almost be an attacking point where everything else would get tossed out the window to the exclusion of, even though it was saying, look, don't do this, how can you display such pictures? It's the same thing with the pro-life displaying pictures of aborted fetuses. The argument wasn't made about whether or not the pictures were true, but that it was so graphic that it was seen almost as an attack on the readers.